Good day. My name is Stephen Rink and I'll be talking about agriculture and its effect on insect biodiversity. First off, let's go through some definitions. What is an ecosystem? It's a biological community of interacting organisms and their physical environment. An ecosystem function is an intrinsic ecosystem characteristic whereby ecosystem maintains its integrity, which includes decomposition, production, nutrient cycling, and fluxes of nutrients and energy. We as humans are very reliant on these ecosystem functions, yet they come to us at no cost. Biodiversity refers to the variety of plant and animal life in the world or in a particular habitat, a high level of which is usually to be considered important and desirable. So what can be referred to as normal agriculture? To some, agriculture is subsistence farming providing for just them and their family. To others, it is large areas of monoculture with intensive technology processes to produce maximum yields. To others, it is a means of life and their only form of income. So let's go through a few of them. Subsistence farming. Subsistence agriculture is self-sufficiency farming in which the farmers focus on growing enough food to feed themselves and their families. The output is mostly for local requirements with little or no surplus. These subsistence farmers aim to be sustainable, but are not always the case due to the method, lack of knowledge, or resources. Often, these farmers farm for a couple years and then move on to new places, degrading land as they go on. Next is monoculture, otherwise known as commercial farming. This is single crops over large areas using machinery to achieve optimal production. High use of fertilizer, pesticides, and levels of soil degradation is associated with this method of farming. This monoculture requires large areas of land degradation, deforestation, and causes low levels of biodiversity and has a very large impact on ecosystem function. The runoff and waste from these farms is one of the main causes for ecosystem destruction. Many of the problems associated with monoculture includes the elimination of biological controls, the synthetic material use, changing organism resistance, soil degradation, the high levels of water use, and the intensive use of fossil fuels. Organic farming is a method of crop and livestock production that involves much more than choosing not to use pesticides, fertilizers, genetically modified organisms, antibiotics, and growth hormones. Organic production is a holistic system designed to optimize the productivity and fitness of diverse communities within the agro ecosystem, including soil organisms, plants, livestock, and people. The principal goal of organic production is to develop enterprises that are sustainable and harmonious with the environment. Next up, permaculture. This is the development of agriculture ecosystems intended to be sustainable and self-sufficient. It is an organic method of farming and maintenance and creation of its own soil using biodiversity of insects. It aims to maintain ecosystem function and a high biodiversity of the area. This method of farming has a low impact on the environment. Permaculture farms have been shown to feed up to 50 families on as little as a 450 square meter plot, using integrated permaculture farm design, intensive orchard and food forest and swales, seed saving and propagation. This is a photo of the limestone permaculture farm in Australia. If we have a look at some statistics on how the world produces its food, we see some very interesting trends. 97% of all agricultural land is smaller than 1 hectare plots, meaning that our large farms form only 3% of all agricultural land. 50% of all food production is produced by smallholder family farms, with industrial agriculture only accounting for 30%. However, if we look at the arable land usage, industrial agriculture accounts for 78% of all arable land. Smallholder family farms, however, only account for 20%. This means that 50% of the world's food is produced on only 20% of the arable land. This seems like a very productive system. The global food production versus the dietary requirements shows the overproduction of red meats by somewhat 400%. The over-harvesting of fish, which is very unsustainable as we have seen overfishing and population loss in our oceans. We need to increase production of nuts and seeds and fruits. These are trees which can be incorporated in permaculture designs. The impacts of agricultural practices vary between the different methods of farming, but all result in water and air pollution, land degradation, deforestation, soil degradation, overuse of resources, and adding dangerous chemicals into the environment through pesticides and herbicides. Some of the consequences of agriculture on the biodiversity of insects and animals in the ecosystem are the fragmentation of habitat leading to isolated patches, which results in genetic isolation. This, however, results in decrease in abundance and diversity of insects. This may have a larger trophic cascade. Often, larger animals are lost from the food web, and these may be keystone species, which are important for the functionality of these diverse food webs. The increase of toxins into these systems kill off many species and make it difficult for survival. Why is it important to maintain ecosystem function or services? Well, to be honest, our livelihood depends on it. Many of these systems come to us at free of commercial value, but if we were to replace them, would be of great financial burden and energy. Failure of one of these functions may result in a cascade effect with drastic effects on our livelihoods. Insects have a fundamental role in ecosystem functions. They are keystone species in complex food webs. They are the ecosystem engineers and soil modifiers. Insects are a vital food source for other organisms within the food web. They provide pollination services and seed dispersal. They recycle all our nutrients. They control insects and plant pests. They are decomposers. They are also herbivores that regulate other plant growth. Fragmentation due to agriculture has many effects on the habitat. It increases risk of alien invasion, decreases gene pool and diversity, changes the community structure, and provides less available resources for the community. It has large effects on the dispersal and distribution of organisms, and it potentially increases environmental contamination due to exposure. It increases the edge effect and changes the landscape matrix completely. Isolated patches become more susceptible to climate change and disease. So what is agroecology? It is an ecological approach to agriculture that views agricultural areas as ecosystems and is concerned with the ecological impact of these agricultural practices. It aims at maintaining biodiversity and ecosystem function. It is the ideal system for sustainable agriculture. So how do we incorporate agroecology principles? Well, you increase the diversity of your crops. You include green corridors and resource patches as to diminish the fragmentation effects. You use diversity to build up resilience and resistance in a natural manner. You use organic herbicides and pesticides where no artificial chemicals and toxins are used. Conservation of water resources is fundamental, and the maintenance of soil properties using organisms and insects to maintain this is vital. The reduction of use of non-renewable energy sources is vital, as these are very harmful to climate change and the environment. If you wish to learn more about agriculture, permaculture and sustainable farming, please read these resources. There are videos, slideshows, articles and scientific publications. These will all inform you on ways to sustainably farm and produce our food in this world. Together we can, and together we will. Thank you.